All right. Thank you. My name is Tim Hernandez. I am with a company called New Urban Communities. I'm a planner, a developer. I just started out my career up in the Chicago area as a city planner for a municipality. And I was reviewing plans, and I saw a lot of people coming in, and I thought to myself, I can do better than this. And so I ended up going back to grad school, getting a degree in finance because I knew nothing about money, and I worked for about 15 years in the private sector with big public home builders. But again, I saw and was involved in how development was done, both in the Midwest and in Florida. And I thought to myself, there's got to be a better way. So about 20 years ago, I founded a company with my partner, Kevin Rickard, called New Urban Communities. It was really kind of a byproduct of an experience I had in Miami when I was with Pulte Homes. We tied up a big piece of property in Kendall, and I got introduced to some people who became my friends, but also I learned a lot from them. Named Andreas Dewani and Elizabeth Platter-Zyber, and we worked together on a project that was ultimately denied by Dade County. It was a neo-traditional neighborhood development called Salamanca. And I said, wow, this is different, this is eye-opening, and there's a different, better way to do it that could be less land consumptive than the traditional model for suburban development, which has been the dominant model of development in the United States since World War II. So we used to know how to design cities, we used to know how to design neighborhoods, and we kind of forgot about it with the advent of the interstate highway system, cheap land, mortgages, and we kind of went on about a 70-year binge of developing land that resulted in all kinds of negative impacts on our communities. So what I wanted to do was focus on infill and redevelopment projects. I wanted to take some of the things that were good about that I learned being a production home builder and blend it with things I knew as an urban planner that were right. And so that's what we've been trying to do. So we've been hearing, in the context of what we're here to talk about is we're here in the state of Florida, people are coming, population growth is birth minus deaths plus net migration. Okay, there's nothing that any urban planner can do about that. So we happen to be living in an area that's desirable for people to want to stay and live and come, whether they're from Florida, whether they're from the Northeast or the Midwest, or whether they're from another country. And nothing that we're going to do, that we're going to talk about today is going to change that fact. So we have to figure out how to accommodate them in a way that's less damaging to our environment so that we can enjoy as best as we can, the quality of life that we've come to expect in South Florida. And I think we can learn a lot from what's happened in Dade County, Broward County, and Palm Beach County. And we have a huge opportunity in Martin County, I think, to do it better and to do it right. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience as a developer. I have a perspective as a developer, but I think a lot of developers come from finance. I don't come from finance, I come from planning and design. And so I think that we at New Urban, we look at things a little bit differently than the typical developer does. We're not trying to impose, we're not trying to cookie cut, we're trying to create something that is contextual in nature with our surroundings, but it doesn't mean that, we don't get in battles oftentimes with communities to try to create something that we think is better than maybe what the codes provide or what the neighbors think So we have to work through that process, because at the end of the day, we want the neighbors to be happy, pleased with what the result is. We want the communities to welcome us back, and I think they do. And we want to create something that's timeless, and will be, when people come back 20, 30, 50 years from now, as we're talking about today, is going to be something that that we can be proud of, created, but they can be proud as well of facilitating. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to steal something from David Letterman. I'm going to say, this is the top 5 things that I hear at P&Z and city commission meetings, okay? Number 1, I won't be able to get out of my neighborhood. That's traffic we're talking about here, okay? Or number 5, I should say. Number 4, you're putting 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag, all right? Density, intensity. 3, people will be looking down into my backyard. Height, okay? They're talking about there typically. Where will all these people park, all right? Talking about, and number 1, can't you just make it a park, all right? So these are all things that I have heard at P&Z meetings. Some of you, if you've ever been to a P&Z meeting, you may have heard 1 or 2 of these comments, right? So how do we typically respond? When I talk about we, I'm talking about the municipalities, all the regulatory agencies, and the developers, okay? So here's what we typically do, and this is everywhere. We cut project density wherever possible to mollify local residents, making it nearly impossible to implement any kind of transit system. We've created a road concurrency system that was designed to increase road capacity, accommodate volume, and speed. And we have sacrificed interconnectivity for privacy and security. Palm Beach County is perhaps the best example in America of that, where they don't extend roadways to create any kind of an arterial grid, and they basically have a non-existent, west of 95, a non-existent collector system. And it's blocked off by gated communities, making it such that you have to drive, in some cases, miles around to get to destinations that are far closer than that. We created counties with precious few walkable places. So, we have to look at ourselves honestly in the mirror. And in this county, you have maybe 2 walkable places in your entire county. All right? You have downtown Stewart, and you have Jensen Beach, which is small. Other than that, you really have 0. And Palm Beach has 4 in their whole doggone county. That's probably like 8 times the size of Martin County, or 9 times the size. They have downtown Boca, downtown Delray, downtown Lake Worth, and West Palm Beach. There's no other walkable places. So that's a sad commentary. So in doing all these things, we have wasted so much land. We've wasted land. We've thought that we've achieved a victory when we knock a few units out of somebody's development. Instead, because the demand is coming anyway, we force those people to go somewhere else, and the result is sprawl. The road concurrency system, I say this, I said this to Palm Beach County with the transportation department, sitting right there. I said, you guys, instead of rewarding urban infill and redevelopment projects, you charge the same impact fee for a house of 2,000 square feet if I build it in downtown West Palm or if I build it in Wellington. Does that really make sense? Martin County is no different. And if you're honest about it, and if you really care about incenting development to come to the urban areas, to downtown Stewart, you wouldn't charge the same impact fee in downtown Stewart that you charge, in Hope Sound, for example. So what's the result of these policies that we've been implementing for decades? Okay, we've got our 2 roadways that are gridlocked in many cases. You don't have it as much here as what you see in Broward and Palm Beach, but it's going to come. And the great thing here is we've got an alternative or an opportunity to do something a little bit different because you have time on your side and you're just not as developed yet as Palm Beach and Broward are. Lack of affordably priced housing, close to employment centers, and no convenient way to travel between the two. So everybody has to work, everybody has to make a living. They have to, in most cases these days, we have dual income households, and the odds that both people are going to be able to walk to work or take transit to work are pretty slim. So the answer is at least let them drive. If they have to drive a shorter distance so they can get between where they live and where they work with the minimum amount of traffic congestion and the minimum amount of cost to them as individuals. We have experienced in Palm Beach rapid consumption of agricultural land. It's coming here. As other speakers have mentioned, great amounts of environmental degradation. And here's this last argument here, the next last argument, is an argument that never gets made, in my opinion, should get made, should be elevated to a high place, which is inefficient delivery of public facilities and services, okay? We all have to have police stations, we have to have fire stations, we have miles of roads, we have miles of sewer, water, and drainage lines, okay? So if we can serve the same population in half the space, in a quarter of the space, that's cost. Those are costs, of maintenance, long-term maintenance and repairs that do not get absorbed as easily. Those have to get passed on to the general public. So we're all paying more tax. We have a higher tax burden than we need to be if we all haven't collaborated to create an extremely inefficient pattern of development, which we've done. And we also have, which is sad to say in some respects, this isn't Boston or Philly or Chicago or New York or DC or even San Francisco or LA. We've got a built environment here that has a shelf life in many cases of less than 50 years. We're already tearing buildings down, okay, that have been built less than 50 years ago. These aren't buildings that were built, by our forefathers and mothers in the 1800s. These are buildings that have been, that in many cases are a few decades old. So what does that tell you about, the adaptability of what we've been doing? It's very poor. So, saving grace. This is Florida. So the very lack of density, intensity, and historically significant buildings I've just been, ranting and raving about, they present opportunities to reshape our communities one block or parcel at a time. So we talk about the counties to your south, Broward's built out, Dade's built out, Palm Beach is built out. Far from it, okay? There are shopping malls that are going black, that are going dark now because of Amazon.com and you can buy everything, just about, maybe except even your groceries now, on the internet if you really wanted to, okay? Churches, any institutional use or commercial use that's got a big parking lot, that is ripe for redevelopment. And it's happening already, all around the country. It can even happen here, believe it or not. Even single-family homes on large lots provide opportunities to add auxiliary dwelling units on them. It's happening in California. I always say, if you want to see what's coming to Florida, just watch what's happening in California, because it's going to be here soon. And in California, they've got legislation right now that they're looking at a couple things. One is, interesting thing is adjacent to transit lines. They're basically saying there's a bill in the legislature that says we're going to be able to override local zoning and local land use regulations and say you can build higher densities in those locations because the municipalities won't do it because there is an element of NIMBYism that's out there. Public participation is a great thing. We would ideally, you get everybody, rowing a boat in the same direction, everybody's thinking the same way, but that's not the way it happens. And, how government and developers react to, public input has an unbelievable long-term impact on, our quality of life and the impact of growth. So what I want to show you here is that I'm not talking about high-rise development necessarily. There is an amazing amount of stuff at surprising densities that you can do in 2 to 3 stories of height. In fact, I mean, I would argue that, I'm not a professional planner, that we don't have many people who can walk down the street and say, this is what the density of a given piece of property or the intensity is. So I'm going to race through, I'm getting the red flag already, some pictures to show you what can be done. So this is a project in Delray Beach, small lot, single family home, almost 10 units an acre. We have, I think it was 11 townhomes and 33 single family detached homes. A beautiful development. We probably got 25 variances, waivers, special exceptions to do this project. And now Delray points to it as one of the most beautiful urban infill projects ever done. And you know, these homes are going for $600,000-$700,000 now. Not when we built them, but now. This is in Victoria Park in Fort Lauderdale. This is 13 units an acre detached housing. Okay, 13 units an acre. We relocated about 25 big oak trees and mahogany trees on this site, created a beautiful streetscape around the site. A beautiful, in the bottom left, you see a beautiful internal paseo, pedestrian-oriented, with walkways that go through the project. This happens to be a familiar location to some of you, downtown Stewart. We're building 49 apartment units right there in the old triangle piece by the Sailfish Circle, just kind of on the west side, southwest side of the railroad tracks. This is downtown Delray Beach, 30 units an acre, fee simple townhomes, courtyards of Delray, between US 1 North and US 1 South. This is Coda, right next to the Sunday House in Delray Beach, just south of Atlantic. Another very successful project, a little over 20 units an acre there. Fee simple, rear loaded garages, great streetscape. Atlantic Grove, mixed-use project, also in Delray, with retail on the first floor, offices on the second floor, lofts on the third floor, and townhomes behind. We had workforce housing units in this development. We did in Coda, you can never pick out the workforce housing units here versus the market rate units. This is in Jupiter, off of Military, just north of Donald Ross. Another mixed-use development that we did with office, retail, townhomes, and all the units in this development, the townhomes were all workforce housing units, like 190 of them. So suggestions going forward, this is the last slide. We need to be thinking about where we concentrate density on transportation corridors, near employment nodes, near shopping and dining districts, mixing uses where possible. So we can create, especially, try to create synergies so that between the various uses, let's not be afraid of mixed use, let's embrace mixed use, because if you have a mixing of uses where people can work, live, and recreate, and be entertained in close proximity to one another, they don't have to spend so much time driving around, and driving around doesn't benefit anyone. And it costs us more money because then we start talking about capacity improvements on roadways and adding lanes. You ever think about what would happen if we just didn't add the lanes? What would happen? Would people just stop driving, or would they still figure out a way to get there anyway? We need to educate residents on the benefits of density, the benefits economically in their pocketbooks to them. Increased tax base, support for struggling retail, less land consumption, utilization of existing infrastructure, all those things. We need to prioritize public investment, align it with the land use objectives so that it's facilitating and supporting compact development, okay? What we've done is by in my opinion, our idiotic concurrency system in this state, and I was friends with John DeGrove, so I feel like I can say that. But it was frankly resulted in all kinds of unintended consequences because it's channeled development to places where you could meet concurrency. Okay, and so great. So that was sprawl, and that's what happened. That was an unintended consequence. I talked to John about that, and I think he agrees that he probably would have done things a little bit differently had he been able to anticipate what really would have happened. So we need impact. I talked about revamping our impact fee structure. Let's reward infill redevelopment, eliminate our multi-hundreds of $1 million subsidy to suburban sprawl. And we need to consider such things, implement form-based codes, minimum density, maximum parking requirements. Those things are counter to everything I was taught in planning school. But you know what? It would result in a much better, and much more environmentally friendly community, and county in this case. Our LDRs are far too quantitative in nature and insufficiently qualitative. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you.